Good morning. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. It's the 18th of April, and our reading is from Mark 11:25. And whenever you stand up to pray, if you have something against someone, forgive so that your Father in heaven may forgive your wrongdoings. Now, this is a tad bit, I think, maybe a little complicated. It's not really that complicated, but forgive me if I want to spend a bit of time talking about forgiveness. The idea here is if we haven't forgiven somebody as we're forgiven, that interferes with our fellowship. That's what it means when it talks about our Father in heaven not hearing our prayers. It has nothing to do with the past tense of salvation, justification, the future tense of salvation, glorification. It has to do with the present tense of sanctification. We need to forgive. We're commanded to forgive. Now, forgiveness does not mean excusing somebody for what they did, as if it didn't matter, sweeping it under the rug. And unfortunately, I think some people believe that is what forgiveness means. And that's problematical because forgive and forget doesn't work. It's forgive and don't remember. What that means is when the thought comes back to you about whatever you're trying to forgive, you're not to dwell on it. You're not to focus on it. You're to put it away. It means when you forgive somebody, you're not to, and when you get in an argument, you're not to say, I remember back in 1997 when you, and I think it was on a Friday. No, then we haven't forgiven. And I talk a lot about this because so many of my clients have been through abuse from parents or from others. And the final part of the healing is forgiving because we're forgiven. And that's when people lose their power over us. When we forgive them, they no longer can live in our heads. And when God forgave us, He forgave us for all our sins. I talked about this earlier in the week, and including those we haven't committed yet. And this is why He can demand of us that we forgive others. So when we do so, we're doing it out of obedience. But like most of what God calls us to do, we also are blessed and benefit by it. When we forgive somebody, that anger, that pain, that bitterness, that in our head goes away. And they don't care whether we forgive them or not, unless we're talking about a healthy relationship, more or less, where we failed somebody and need to ask their forgiveness. That's usually not that hard to do unless you have a problem with admitting you're wrong. But forgiving somebody who is truly abused, that's a whole different thing. And that's where Satan can get in our head. Look at what they did to you. You have a right to be angry. Yeah. Why should you forgive them? Because God called us to. See, He wants to take a truth and move us away from God, whereas God takes the truth and uses it to help us draw closer to Him. So forgiveness is not an option. If you're struggling with forgiving somebody, ask the Lord to give you the desire to. You know, a great prayer is, God, I don't want to forgive them, but I know I'm supposed to, so help me be willing to. See, it's not about them, it's about us wanting to be who God's called us to be. So I know I've gone a little longer this morning than I sometimes do, but this whole issue of forgiveness is one of the most important aspects of the Christian life. God forgave us, so we need to forgive others. So if there's somebody you haven't forgiven, then ask the Lord to help you to do so. If it's appropriate, go to them and ask for their forgiveness or let them know you've forgiven them. And I'll end with this. The one untruth that sometimes comes out of some pulpits is forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Now, in an ideal world where both parties love the Lord, then that's the ideal. But it's not a requirement because sometimes it's not safe to be reconciled, or the person is already passed on, and so it's impossible to be reconciled. So there's one more place. Trust the Lord to lead you in how He wants you to forgive, who He wants you to forgive, and what's appropriate in that forgiveness. And forgive me for running on so long. And I'll see you again tomorrow.